Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Board, for proclaiming September as Recovery Month. So I'm honored to be here today alongside our Alcohol and Drug Board Chair, Catalina Chavez Tapia, to really share with you more about Recovery Month. So as mentioned, there are now over 21 million people who live in active recovery across the United States. However, of those that are currently experiencing substance use disorder issues, only 13% seek treatment. So it's really important that during Recovery Month, we honor our community treatment providers and those who provide substance use disorder services to really focus on evidence-based practices that help people achieve well-being and recovery. So during September, Health and Human Services Agency hosted a variety of events for Recovery Month, including on September 14th, we had over 84 participants join 29 vendors, including Ole Health, Queen of the Valley, and other local community providers, in sharing the resources that we offer across our community to help promote recovery. So I really want to thank you all for joining us on our mission of HHSA to support our community health and well-being and focusing on Recovery Month. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to Catalina.
I'm the community side. I'm a volunteer there, and I always want to bring the voice of the community, the voice of the unheard. And I love doing that. I've seen so many changes through several years in this board, so I'm very proud of the county doing this work. And I always invite the community to be part of it, to be partners in this amazing work that we're doing here. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. I'll now invite the board down to join us. Thank you. Thank you so much. We do not have any department head reports or announcements. Mr. CEO? No. Okay. Excellent. We will move on to our consent items for special districts. These consent items are 6A through D. Are there any questions or corrections from the board? Seeing none, I'll move to public comment. Is there any public comment on 6A through D? Seeing none, I'll move to the phone lines. Thank you. No one on the line. I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board for decision.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Gregory, second by Supervisor Cottrell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. For our consent agenda, we will be pulling item 7I. 7H is dropped from the agenda. Are there any other changes, board? Seeing none, I will go ahead and ask for public comment on the balance. This is everything on the consent calendar minus H and I. None in the boardroom, any on the phone line? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and I'll bring it back to the board for decision. And this is for all items 7A through AA, dropping H and pulling I.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Pedroza, second by Supervisor Gregory. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. H is dropped. Next we'll come up with item 7I. And there has been a request by a board member to pull 7I. And do we have a staff presentation? Our Assistant CEO, Ms. Becky Craig. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, Chair and Supervisors. I wanted to present to you this morning a report from our ARPA grant, and in particular, the Child Care Forgivable Loan Program. A few months ago, we brought forward 7 applications for the board to reserve funding for those programs, which totaled over $3 million. And we wanted to, at this time, update you that 2 of those applications, which is by one childcare provider, La Petite Elephant Nursery and Childcare, has come forward with an alternate proposal due to some changing circumstances with their business. They are no longer able to pursue the second location that they were going to rent and renovate, and so therefore they went back to the market and were fortunate to identify yet a new location, which is double or more the size of their current location, and would like to combine both of their projects that they previously proposed into one project to pursue this new location, which would allow them to ultimately offer the same or more number of slots than they did with the 2 applications that came forward earlier. So that is why we are recommending the board approve the replacement application and to continue the reservation of funds in the combined total for the 2 projects to pursue for the purpose of childcare slots in Napa.
Thank you. Any Supervisor Cottrell?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Good morning, Ms. Craig, and thank you for adding the detail. And I had pulled this item because I thought, this is a non-routine item. It's our one-time chance to execute this ARPA grant, and so understanding more detail is really helpful. So if you could just go over again, so the location of the new place is still in the city of Napa.
It is a former religious site. It's at 15 Chapel Hill, and so it's still within the city of Napa.
And one of the other items that we talked a lot about when we saw the list of applications the first time was the kind of allocation of spots in terms of serving infants, serving low-income families, and things like that. Can you tell us anything about how this new alteration will impact those?
It will still maintain that. That is still the goal of this provider, is to improve the number of infant slots, so that will be maximized on this location, as well as utilizing low-income opportunities as they are available. And the applicant is here if you want to ask her directly, but that is our understanding from her application, is that mission is not going to change.
Great. And then I think this was the application that provided for the largest number of slots. So
Correct.
Just understanding kind of how those are allocated now I'd be interested in hearing something about that.
I'll invite the owner applicant up to join us, please. You can come up here. That's fine. Thank you. And then just make sure your green light is on when you speak, and please do reintroduce yourself for the record. Thank you.
Will do. Good morning, Chair and Supervisors. My name is Millie Pintacci. I am the founder and director of La Petite Elephant Nursery and Preschool in Napa. And to answer your question, Supervisor Cottrell, so we are just waiting to get final engineering and architecture, the professionals, to tell us how many exact children, but the goal was originally to maintain 128 spaces in my original location and to add 70 in a new location. So we are still aiming for that number, even if not higher. I just cannot give an exact number until the architects can tell us that. But my goal is to have over 100 infant spaces. I know it's a lot. Right now we have 50 infants at my site, so we would have over 100 at the new site. And I have no cap on how many children from subsidized vouchers that we will provide care for. I'm open, as always. And the rest will be 2 to 5-year-olds.
Got it. Thank you so much. And again, I think it's just helpful for us all to understand. And so I appreciate, and also your point about there's still some unknowns given where you are in the process. So thanks for sharing that with us too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you would just stay, just to make sure
Yes.
other supervisors don't have questions. Supervisor Gregory.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. The previous project was 2. It was, the first was to improve the space you were in, and the second was to build out a new location. So what we're saying is you're getting out of your lease, and you're going to build one location total.
Correct.
Do I have that right? Okay.
Yes, and we would actually own it, so it would become a permanent childcare site instead of renting 2 spaces. It would be.
Well, good for you. Right?
It's really exciting.
Congratulations. I know the journey you've been on, so good for you.
I appreciate it.
Supervisor Pedrosa.
Thank you, Chair. And again, I support this. I think this is a great outcome. That site is pretty big, so there's a potential if things go well. Can you keep expanding in that space?
Yes.
See, that's the investment, right? It's not just today, but the future ability to keep serving the youth. So that's great. The one question, remind me, Ms. Craig, are we keeping, or is there a way to track who you're going to be helping or serving? Because I think the data component's also interesting in terms of the workforce. Is it local workforce? Is it workforce from hospitality, ag? I think any data that we can collect, I think, would serve us well. So I don't know if that's part of it or not.
There's certain data that we are going to collect as a part of the agreements during the agreement terms, but yes, we can always work with them to also collect ancillary information.
And I want to protect privacy by all means, but I think just getting data for us would be valuable. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the additional information, and this is an exciting development. If there are no more questions from the board, I'll open public comment. This is public comment on 7I. Seeing none in the boardroom, we'll go to the phone lines.
Let's see how this goes. Hey, caller. Are you calling for 7I?
Hello? Hello?
Hi, are you calling for 7I?
Oh, is this Diana?
You have the wrong number. Okay.
Okay. Starbucks sometimes calls me Diana, so could have worked. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. I'll close public comment and I'll bring it back to the board for decision on 7I.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Cottrell, second by Supervisor Gallagher. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Good luck. Next, we will hear general public comment. Public comment is for all matters not listed on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and our special districts. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. You may please approach the podium for public comment.
Good morning, my name is Joela Trujillo y I work en IHSS program por 15 años en el programa de IHSS y estoy aquí en representación de 1,500 proveedores.
So I am in the program for IHSS and I am here representing the 1,500 providers
Que trabajan para familiares y clientes proveedores en casa
that work for families and clients that are providing care in home.
y la razón que estoy aquí pidiéndoles que sus corazones tengan conciencia y compasión que necesitamos un aumento de salario.
And the reason that I'm here is to ask for you to have compassion and heart as we ask for an increase in wages.
En este tiempo todo es caro y hay muchas personas que tienen una nada de horas y no alcanzan para sus cosas personales.
At this time, many things are expensive and there are a lot of people who don't have enough hours to be able to get what they need.
Y es la razón que estoy aquí y muchas gracias.
That is the reason that I'm here and thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Paula Cantera y yo trabajo para HC hace 26 años.
Good morning, my name is Paula Cantera and I've been with the unit for over 26 years.
Y trabajo para mi hija María Cantera y ella es Sibón y también estoy aquí para pedir para todos los trabajos que que tienen trabajo en el mismo trabajo que yo trabajo.
I also work for my daughter Maria Cantera and I'm here representing and advocating for all the workers who work in the same industry where I do.
Y también quiero decirles que que si nos pueden ayudar y se tienten un poquito el corazón para que nos den un aumento, porque la renta ha subido mucho, la comida y
I'm also
todo.
here to ask for your support, to open up your hearts, because everything is very expensive here, rent and food.
Y a veces no alcanzamos, nos vamos a las iglesias a pedir que nos ayuden porque pues el dinero que nos pagan no es suficiente.
And sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes we have to go to seek for help at the churches because the money that we earned is not enough.
Y no nomás yo, todos los trabajadores que trabajamos en este trabajo, no nos alcanza el dinero.
And it's not only
No.
me, all the workers in this industry don't have enough to support themselves.
Y esperemos que nos ayuden, que nos oigan y se tienten un poquito el corazón para que
And we
nos
hope,
den un soporte.
and we hope that you hear us. We hope that you open up your heart so that you can give us your help.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you all very much.
Gracias.
Good morning, everyone. Cesar Alvarado with the Caregivers Union. Just to remind everyone, caregivers in Napa County are making $16.95. And that's not even close to a livable wage for Napa County. I think I presented to you last time some documents that a livable wage for Napa County should be about around $21.62. So they're not even close to a living wage in Napa County. So just to remind you that one of the jobs of the county supervisor is to improve lives of members of this community. So we are starting this process. We appreciate that we're in the middle of contract negotiations. But just, we're here just to remind you that we're in that process. We appreciate that, but the goal is to improve the life of more or less 1,500 caregivers in Napa County. Also, in our proposal is to improve healthcare for providers. Currently, there's only about 80 caregivers that have access to insurance through the contract. So we're trying to improve that. So only 80 out of 1,500. So that's we believe that's not fair. So we're trying to improve that also. So again, thank you, and we'll continue to show up here and remind you of what we're doing, which is improve the life of members of your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Gracias. Any other public comment? Seeing none in the boardroom, to the phone lines. Seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment. We do not have any administrative items for our special districts, nor do we have administrative items for the board. We do not have public hearings for the special districts, but we do have a public hearing this morning before the Board of Supervisors. The County Executive Officer is requesting we hold a public hearing for the introduction and intention to adopt an ordinance entitled the Safe Firearm Storage Ordinance, which will be part of Title IX to the Napa County Code. And I want to start off by thanking all the members of the public and advocates who have come here to join us for this day. I will now introduce and turn it over to our Assistant CEO, Ms. Becky Craig, and County Counsel Silva Darbinian. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chair and Supervisors. This is an item that the board requested a few months ago, and so our teams have been working on this to bring it forward for your consideration, and then this is the public hearing for the intent to adopt the ordinance. Staff recommends adoption of the Safe Firearm Storage Ordinance, adding this section to Title IX of the County Code. The ordinance requires firearms in a residence to be either stored in a locked container or disabled with a trigger lock. An exception will be made when a firearm is carried on a person or is in otherwise immediate control and possession of that person, or is in immediate control and possession of a peace officer. Many other jurisdictions have either adopted this or are in consideration of it at this time. Materials will also be developed for education and outreach in our community regarding safe firearm storage. And County Counsel is available if there's any particular questions regarding the creation or execution of the ordinance.
Thank you for that. I will now open the public hearing. Do we have any comments or questions from the board at this time? Seeing none, I will open public comment. It's going to be fun limiting Councilmember Luros to 3 minutes. Just saying. Please proceed.
Good morning. My name is Lindy Bauer, and I am the Napa Valley Moms Demand Action local group co-lead. I wanted to thank you for devoting so much time to this ordinance and remind us all that September is Suicide Awareness Month and October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And this is a very meaningful time in which to be passing this ordinance. And now I'd like to yield to all the other Moms Demand Action volunteers who are here in support. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Luros. I am here as a parent, not as a council member. And I will be very quick. I just want to be here to say thank you for taking this on, for acknowledging that there is a real problem here, in that gun violence is the leading cause of death in children in the U.S. today. And for acknowledging and accepting the evidence that shows that keeping guns securely stored does help prevent deaths. If we can save one life, it's worth doing this. Thank you for taking this on.
Hello, I am Jenny Olson. Thank you, Chair and Supervisors, for your attention to this important matter of safe firearm storage. I am Prevention Director at Mentis and also the Chair of the Napa County Suicide Prevention Council, and I thank you again for recognizing September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. I just want to share a few statistics with you of importance. 49% of gun deaths in California are by firearm suicide. Napa County's rate of suicide is higher than the state average. The most common mechanism for suicide in Napa County is by firearms. 46% of suicides in Napa County are by firearms. Gun death is a local public health crisis. The Napa County Suicide Prevention Council is launching a mean safety work group in October, which is outlined in our 3-year strategic plan for suicide prevention, which will go before you in a few months. We look forward to working with you to reduce suicides by educating and outreach events to reduce suicides by firearm in Napa County. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Richmond, member of Moms Demand Action and also parent. And I am here. Thank you for considering this ordinance. I became involved after the Pathway home shootings in 2018. When my daughter was on lockdown at the Lincoln Theater, very close. And from that time on, my daughter, who already suffered from anxiety, has had a lot of issues. And I know that many children today have issues from fear of gun violence, active shooters, things like that. And I know that even she now, as a college student, when looking for colleges, was aware of her surroundings, like this could be a place where there could be an active shooter because of the height of a building or things like that. So I know it has affected her life, and after that, I vowed with her anxiety to do everything I could to make her feel safer. And I know that our cities have already provided ordinances for the safe gun storage, and I encourage the county and thank you for considering this. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Liu. Thank you, supervisors, for considering this ordinance, and thank you to staff for recommending it. I support the adoption of the Safe Firearms Storage Ordinance. This ordinance will raise the awareness of the importance of safe gun storage and is an important step towards preventing gun deaths, especially in our children. I'll be proud for Napa County to stand with our Napa cities in adopting this gun storage ordinance.
Thank you, supervisors, for taking up this important issue. Gun violence has become a public health crisis in our country. One only needs to look at the daily headlines across the country to see the impact of unintentional shootings, gun suicide, gun homicide, and so on, which combined claim the lives of over 45,000 residents, with more than double that number injured in a given year. As a gun violence survivor of the 2018 Pathway home shooting in Yountville, a shooting that involved both gun homicide and gun suicide perpetrated by a struggling veteran from the program, I live the very real consequences of this national epidemic. I do what I can, where I can, to help others avoid having to experience this because the impact is lifelong. We are 5.5 years past that incident, and I'm grateful that the supervisors are taking this issue up because we know that when someone is in crisis, means matter. And if there is the chance for someone to have that extra bit of time where they have to unlock a weapon before they consider using it on themselves or others, that matters. So thank you very much for what you're doing today.
Hi everyone, thank you. I am here my name's Anna Shuto, and I'm here as a St. Helena City Council member. These views are mine and mine alone, not for the whole council, although our St. Helena Council was the first Napa County city to pass the safe firearm storage ordinance for me. I'm a mom and I'm passionate about ending gun violence. Every time I hear of another shooting, it makes me feel sick to my stomach, and this happens over and over again. We have seen gun violence impact our own community already. Our public schools have experienced terrifying lockdowns. I'll never forget being on the school bus for a field trip that came upon an incident where guns were drawn on the highway. A little girl ran past me in a flash as soon as she saw what was happening to go hide in the bathroom of the bus. She had been trained to do this in her kindergarten classroom because she was the one lucky kindergarten classroom that had a bathroom for them to hide in. Our kids are living through ongoing trauma because of our problem with guns. They are everywhere, and too often it is too easy to find people in homes who have not safely stored them. We know this. It is up to us adults, and especially as we all sit in positions of power, to do more to implement common sense solutions like this one. I know what it feels like to lose family and friends to gun suicide and the decades of pain and heartache it causes. I lost a friend in high school and 2 cousins with who I grew up with. That is now Healdsburg, fortunately, has just also passed this gun safe storage ordinance, which was our high school where we lost our friend. You do not get a second chance when you use a gun. California is leading in gun violence prevention, and still we are vulnerable with other states not taking the same actions. Until we see more comprehensive, desperately needed common sense gun prevention legislation, we must work harder and smarter locally. It is on all of us. We are already taking steps to do more. I am so proud. St. Helena, Yountville, Napa, American Canyon, and Calistoga have all passed safe firearm storage ordinance. I can tell you personally, law enforcement is excited about working with us to come up with solutions. Napa County Department of Education, St. Helena Unified School Districts, and others have passed safe firearm storage resolutions. We will be so much stronger with Napa County joining us and helping us to bring us together to do more. Our areas outside of the cities are just as vulnerable for guns to get in the wrong hands and cause harm if they are not properly stored. We should all be understanding, following, and having the same accountability and rules. Gun violence, as we've heard, is a public health crisis. Solutions exist, and we have to have the courage to act. Some sobering statistics as a reminder. Every day, 120 Americans are killed by gun violence. Black and Hispanic Americans are at a higher risk of gun homicide. Firearm access triples suicide risk, and a gun in the home is associated with more gun homicide. 3 million American children are directly exposed to gun violence every year. Trauma and lockdown drills shouldn't be a part of normal of growing up. Please do pass this. I'm so excited to work with all of you.
Thank you.
Good morning, County Supervisors. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Chris Hartley. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of St. Helena. I'm a 4th generation Napan. I live in the city of Napa, and I have property in Pope Valley. I'm not here as just a community servant, but also as a father of 3 and a grandfather of 8. When Mothers Demand Action first came to me proposing that I write this ordinance, I really had to give it some serious thought. There was already a misdemeanor law in place that covered this. There were opponents, local opponents, that were against it, and their main reasoning was, if somebody breaks into my house, how do I protect myself? Well, simply, if you're a responsible gun owner and can afford to buy a gun, there are now gun safes that you touch it with your finger and it opens. So that's not really an excuse. Secondly, if you're that worried or live in a place with that type of potential, if you have a loaded firearm on your bedstand next to you while you're in your bed, you are still in control of that firearm. Muni Code is also non-criminal. You have many county residents that, grandfathers still keep the 22 in the barn to keep the critters away at night and protect their animals. However, on Family Day or Easter holidays and stuff, that same 22 can no longer be sitting there loaded when you have your kids and grandkids running around. This gives us the opportunity to change mindset and change behavior. It's the opportunity for us to educate somebody, and sure, we're going to pinch a little bit out of their pocket, but they're not going to run around with a misdemeanor conviction for a weapons violation. Again, most suicides that are committed by teens and juveniles are committed with weapons from their own homes or from a close friends. A lot of our mass shootings in the schools that are perpetrated by youth are also using family weapons. So to me, the safe storage is common sense. I've seen a lot of suicide in my life. I'm a 20-year Marine Corps veteran. I have a lot of friends that have done this, and it's extremely tragic. So anything we can do to educate and change behavior is for the good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Molly Bjorkman. I urge the adoption of this ordinance. I have 2 children in the St. Helena School Districts, an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old. Last year, 2 schools in our district were on lockdown twice. Thank goodness they were false alarms, but I can't imagine what the families have gone through when it's not a false alarm. I will sleep better at night, and my children will sleep better at night. If we take a step in the right direction, there's more to be done. But again, I urge the adoption of this ordinance. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Terry Beck, and I'm a member of Moms Demand Action and also on the Democratic Central Committee. I really urge, I'm grateful for you considering this ordinance. I think it's very important for us to pass this as a county and not just the cities. I live in the county, and gun violence is the #1 killer of children around our country. This is a community issue. We need to educate people about locking up their firearms and keeping them out of the hands of children. I'm reading a book right now called Who Killed Kenzo? And this is about a man who lost his son, whose best friend shot his son by accident because he grabbed a gun and that was his father's and was playing around with it, thought the chamber was empty, and shot and killed his best friend. So this is this happened like 30 years ago. He's written a book about it. Everyone is still affected by these deaths for the rest of their lives. So we want to prevent these accidental shootings as much as possible, and I appreciate that you're considering this so seriously. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Megan Kemps. I'm a mom, and I'm worried about gun violence in our schools, in our homes, and everywhere. It's something that we think about being in public places and everywhere we go now. And I'm really thankful that this ordinance is on the books, and I really hope that you'll all approve it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment in the boardroom, I'll turn to the phone lines. We have no one on the lines. First, let me start off by saying, let me start with County Council.
Oh, thank you, Chair Ramos. I just wanted to clarify something for the board based on public comment. This ordinance for Napa County is slightly different from the one for the city of St. Helena. Different cities do have different penalty provisions. So ours is based on our general enforcement provision that states that a violation of anything in our ordinance could be an infraction. So that is a criminal penalty. And under this ordinance, there would be notice and an opportunity to have a hearing. St. Helena has only civil penalties, City of Napa has a wide range of options for the city to enforce. They have code enforcement, nuisance, civil, and criminal. But I wanted to point out that for this ordinance, there is that difference, and it's an infraction.
Thank you. I wanted to first off thank everyone for your participation and for your voice. It's very easy to sit at home and just be on the sidelines of this, and I really want to take this opportunity to say thank you for being here, especially for the voice of the Pathway Home survivor. That's incredibly courageous of you to come forward and to use your voice in such a positive way. So thank you. Now I'll turn it to the board. Any questions, comments from the board? I'll just go ahead and call Supervisor Gallagher since she can't find her button.
Can't wait till next year when I can. I hope you make a mistake. Well, thank you so much to everybody that spoke. I'm really excited to be able to assure that the county is in line with the cities and that we are giving ourselves really this opportunity to do a lot of public education. So I'm excited about that. I did want to ask a question if we had thought through yet anything about where that public education piece would live, and if we have gotten any further on that, or that remains to be fleshed out.
I know the Deputy CEO for Communications is actively working on that and developing the plan, but I do not know the details of that at this time.
Okay, great, because it sounds like it could be a great coordinated effort with Sheriff's Department, Public Health. Yeah, great. Just want to say that I think this is incredibly important. I came from a law enforcement home. I lived with guns in my home. I have to say I don't think my dad locked the guns up, but I think they were unloaded. we knew that we were not allowed to touch them, and that was that. I do have a family member that committed suicide by firearm, and having had some experience with suicide prevention, I do really understand the idea of suicidal crisis. Generally, it lasts from about 0 to 20 minutes. So if you can prevent somebody from getting a gun in that time span, you can really help to assure that they get past the crisis and get resources and don't actually follow through. So really important, and I look forward to working with our cities and coming up with some really important and impactful campaigns. So thank you.
Supervisor Cottrell.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate what Supervisor Gallagher said, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who spoke today. It's great to see your voices out in the community and then bringing that education to us here today. So very happy about that. I'm supportive of this ordinance. I have a brother who's an active hunter, and this type of ordinance would not impinge on any way that he needs to use his guns. And I think the combination of what we've heard today, personal experience, but you really brought the data to support this as a very reasonable ordinance. So I'm happy to have that. And the importance of supporting our municipalities in their efforts as well is important to me. So I'm supportive of this ordinance.
Thank you. Supervisor Pedroza.
Thank you, Chair. And to everyone that came out today, thank you. It's so easy to lose hope, when you deal with issues that are complicated, that go beyond local control, but you really brought the conversation forward, and you should be commended for that. And to me, the opportunity is maybe not in the current generation, but the youth. How do we provide the public education around safe firearms? And I think that is the opportunity that's within our control, where you can make impact today and now. So I am interested, Supervisor Gallagher mentioned that public outreach campaign of how do we make sure as kids are in school that they understand the safety and the dangers at the same time. And I think that's where we might be falling short, and I haven't been involved as much to know if that's happening. If it is, phenomenal. If it's not, I think it's an area of opportunity to really focus on in terms of what we can do locally while we wait for state and federal partners to do something about it. So thank you all.
Supervisor Gregory.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. The problem is so big, you can only just whittle away at it, and this is one small way to whittle away at it. And I appreciate the dedication we heard today from everybody out there, and thank you for helping us move this forward.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments and hearing 5 thumbs up, I will now ask for a motion for intent to adopt the ordinance as noted in the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Cottrell, second by Supervisor Gallagher. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. Do we have any legislative items? No legislative items. Any Board of Supervisor Committee reports or announcements? Supervisor Gallagher, and that button.
I have to move this thing out of the way, I guess. I just wanted to report on a couple of committees. So Supervisor Pedrosa and I had a language access committee meeting very recently, had a great presentation from Napa Valley Unified School District from our superintendent, Rosanna Musetti, who spoke about their language and accessibility plan. It was a great presentation. They have had an incredibly thoughtful process. She really noted that the first thing that needed to happen was a mentality shift so that everyone would understand that language access would be embedded into their workflow throughout the district. They actually started with their Board of Trustees meetings, and she felt it was really important to model that behavior and model sort of the change in the system from the top, and then now they are in the process of moving out to their 26 school sites. I just wanted to mention that Clerk Hoskins has actually been working on this for a while and is in communication and has been in communication with NBUSD for quite a while and researching their model and whatnot, and is, planning for the necessary technology that we will need to move forward. So I'm very excited about this plan and see it as a really huge opportunity to provide access, but also to really increase engagement in governance. And Supervisor Pedrosa, did you have anything else you wanted to mention about it?
No, I think you covered it well, Supervisor Gallagher. The only thing that we kept talking about is making sure that this produces tangible outcomes. And as we see what those outcomes are, if it's a resource question, then we as elected leaders of the county have to decide how do we make sure we resource this initiative we're about to embark on.
Great. I also just wanted to report from the Bay Area, from the Air District, that we made some approvals of some grants last week. There's over $500,000 in equipment replacement for ag businesses throughout Napa County. And we also made a grant to the Napa Valley Wine Train to do equipment replacement of $3.3 million. So some great projects happening in Napa County. And that's it.
Supervisor Cottrell.
Thank you, Chair. I was recently at the RCRC conference and just had 2 items from that. First of all, we heard from the new Assembly Speaker, Robert Rivas, and it's great. He is from San Benito County, and so felt a connection with other rural counties. So it seems like there's at least an opportunity for rural counties to have more of a dialogue. So that was encouraging. And then the second thing I wanted to report on and also just ask for feedback on, as I think we all got the update about the new insurance regulation, or I guess executive order and subsequent rulemaking that will be coming down. It's going to allow insurers to use catastrophe modeling, but also ask them to pick up more customers in the WUI. So that's important for our county, and it will also speed up the rate making. So we have an ad hoc committee at RCRC that I'm sitting on that's specifically looking at property insurance, and we're going to be meeting with Commissioner Lara in 2 weeks. And so if there are instances from your constituents that you think are important for me to be able to communicate, please share.
Thank you. Supervisor Pedrosa?
Thank you, Chair. With the upcoming travels of the Great One Capitals, which always gets good press coverage, I wanted to also talk about the work we're doing before the trip. So as I've said before, we created the work group with the elected officials, and we're actually having meetings at 2:30 in the morning because of the time change difference, which is just fascinating. But what I'll tell you, one of the topics we're going to be talking about is wildfire prevention. So all the work we're doing, we're actually getting to talk to our global partners of what we're doing. And when we introduced the concept of a white paper, I quickly realized that's not a global term. So we had to kind of talk to our partners, and we're talking, for example, last week we talked to the mayor of Cape Town, and they're going to talk about water crisis and smoke taint. So what's really cool about this is being able to talk to our peers, elected officials throughout the world about different topics. And this is not something that's going to end this year. There's already talk about how do we continue for next year. One of the things I'm going to be interested in talking about is the water crisis and how do we respond. So to be able to talk to 8 other elected officials and hear what their best practices, we're going to be compiling these white papers. So it'll be a product of what we do. But again, it's really meaningful stuff where we wouldn't be able to get that opportunity to talk to someone across the globe around how they're dealing with some of these challenges. So we're going to have, Jimena has been working on our white paper in collaboration with CAL FIRE and Napa County Fire, where I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to work together on that front. And then on MTC, I've been spending a lot of time on BART. It's safe, it's reliable, and it's clean, I can tell you that. But we've been going to San Jose quite a bit, talking about the extension all the way to downtown San Jose. It's going to be costly. It's going to be over close to $9 billion for a few miles. So those of us that have some concerns about a Vine Trail, we can talk about public transit, and you'll see quickly the cost escalation. But as we talk about climate change and vehicle miles travels, investing in public transit is going to be critical, and I think that's the right mindset that we need to have in the future as we talk about some of these big projects, especially in our region. It's so critical as we try to achieve all these other objectives, and Plan Berryessa really illustrated the pressure points of housing, climate, and transit. So a lot going on at MTC. I'll provide another report next month. Thank you.
Supervisor Gregory.
Quick note about Napa sand activities. So the Browns Valley trunk main, which you all saw got built over the last few years, it's finished, as well as the pump station at Coombs and Imola. A really big success for the community. I know that stuff runs through, I think, 3 of our districts. We're going to have an event soon to just, I think, a ribbon cutting of sorts. It's not the most sexiest thing to go to a sanitary sewer pump station, but that's where we're going to do it. And we're going to invite our state reps because it was funded by state revolving fund money, which is huge for us delivering our big infrastructure projects. I'll let you know when that's coming. It'll be in the next month or so. Thanks.
Thank you. Association of Bay Area Governments, 2 things of note for Napa County. First is that the ABAG Executive Board approved the Bay Run allocation to the County of Napa for $1,056,770,000, and this is to be able to bring more energy efficiency programs into our region, and we're really excited to be able to have this money go out into the regions and to continue to fund the Bay Run program, and also we approved the calendar for the election of president and vice president of ABAG, and I am vice president right now, and I will be seeking the office of president for ABAG, so more to come on that. Supervisor Cottrell, is that a second?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I was just going to add, thank you, Supervisor Gregory, for mentioning upcoming events. I'm doing a community event in Angwin this evening if people want to come talk about emergency communications. So not as fun as a ribbon cutting, but.
Excellent. Seeing no other committee reports or announcements from the board, Mr. CEO, any announcements? None from the CEO. I'll invite County Council to announce our closed session.
Today, the board has 1 closed session item, item 17A, public employee appointment. This is the fire administrator position, and pursuant to Government Goods Section 54957B1.
Thank you. I'll open public comment on closed session. Seeing none in the boardrooms, I'll go to the phone lines. Seeing none on the phone lines, I'll close public comment and I'll bring it back to the board. We are in recess for closed session. Thank you.
In progress.
Thank you. We are now back from closed session, and I'll ask our county council to report out.
Thank you for item 17A, public employee appointment. There's no reportable action.
Thank you. And board and county family, this weekend we lost a beloved friend, an employee of Planning, Building, and Environmental Services, Terry Abraham. And I have asked our director of PBS, Brian Bordona, and all of the PBS to be present as we adjourn in Terry's honor and invite Mr. Bordona to share a few words about Terry.
Yeah, we lost a good one. She was more than just one of our coworkers. She was a friend. I knew Terry for 24 years. We were hired right around the same time, and she was like a second mother to me, constantly checking in and, hey, Brian, you doing okay? And then, you know, kind of more recently over the last couple of years as I've moved up, she always seemed to be worried about me. And so, you know, always have a special place in my heart for her. And I really appreciate Chair Ramos, you doing this for her and acknowledging her. She's going to be missed. So thank you. I appreciate you adjourning this meeting in her honor.
Thank you. Our sincerest condolences to all of her friends, her colleagues, especially everyone in Planning, Building, Environmental Services, and thank you for joining us as we honor and we will adjourn this meeting in honor of Terry King Abraham, and we will adjourn to our next regular board meeting of Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. Thank you.